Hello all. Welcome to my garden here in South Texas. My name is Gina and I wanted to share this with you guys. This is weekend 4 of me planting the garden. If I've been able to upload my previous videos, weekend 1 consisted of me talking about what I did to clear the ground. We had been in a drought. It did not look like this. Everything was very dead, and I got all of the dead stuff out of the ground right before we started having some rain off the Gulf, before everything else started to green up. And weekend 2, same thing, still getting things out of the dirt. Last weekend was weekend 3 of me working. As I stated in my previous videos, I do not live here on this ranch. This is my parents' ranch. I actually live about an hour, a little more than an hour away from here. So I do only get to come home during the week, on the weekends, and those are the times I spend here in the garden. I have family. My dad helps me keep the garden watered, but as far as weeding and things like that, that happens only on the weekend. So last weekend, weekend 3, I was able to get some seeds in the ground, a mix of seeds that I had recently purchased that were nice fresh seeds, and then I had some old seeds from previous gardens that, I just wanted to see if they would sprout. Some of them have come up, some things have not, and I'm just going to take you on a little walking tour of my little garden plot, to show you what is sprouting. So let's get in here. We had some rain yesterday, so everything's kind of flattened down. You can't see very well where the hills and the paths are, but this is the first row in here. We do have some greens starting to sprout. I don't know if you can see those. There they are, little greens. They're scattered throughout this little area right here. I planted some Swiss chard, however you want to say it, in this first area, followed by some collard greens that are planted in here. Again, hard to see. These are my primitive garden markers until I can get some markers. They just kind of letting me know where I started and stopped different seeds. The next few things that I planted in this area were eggplants in both of these areas here. I may have one sprouting right there by that stick. Maybe one in here. The eggplants that I planted in here were the long purple variety. The ones right in here were Black Beauty. I really only need a plant or two. I don't need a whole lot, so let's hope that those come up. And all of these on this row, there's Bosco. All of these were fresh seeds. The items that I planted down here were not fresh seeds. What I planted over here was some butternut squash, and then some acorn squash. And although there are a few tiny things sprouting, I believe they are probably just weeds. My boyfriend and I came through here yesterday and weeded what we knew to be weeds for certain out, and then it rained right after. The other things that we weren't sure, well, we didn't want to pull things that you couldn't really tell what they were yet, so we left those alone. So in this row here, these little tiny guys here are tomatillo plants. I should say that immediately after I planted on the first day of planting, not even an hour later, we had a pretty severe rainstorm, and it did wash out some of my seeds. I came, and the seeds that were big enough that I could see, I pushed them back into the soil, tried to get them back into the rows rather than, the sides of the row. It really did flatten out a lot of stuff that weekend as well. the seeds that were too small, couldn't do much about trying to find those. You can see that we have some things coming up here really well. And these are golden or yellow green beans. Well, I guess they'd be beans, not green beans, yellow beans. And then right in here, you can see what are some green beans, all in this area. And you can also see Bosco. Hi, Bosco. Bosco, as I've noted before, is my guardian and protector when I am out on the ranch. He lives here. This is his territory, and he keeps me safe from, well, from what, Bosco? Snakes and anything else that might come prowling. Hogs, dogs, coyotes, raccoons. And okay, in this row, we have pickles. Pickles, well, they will be pickles. We have cucumbers planted. Down here, we have some Sumter cucumbers. They will have to be thinned. Seeds moved around a lot. The next ones we have here are some more pickling type cucumbers. All of this is various types of different cucumbers. And then down here on the very end, we planted some spaghetti squash, which were old seeds as well, but hey, look, they're coming up. And I'm rather excited about that because we've never grown spaghetti squash out here on the ranch, and I'm hoping it comes up well. You know, I need to get a fence so you don't go stomping around in my garden. That is the next project for the garden, hopefully for next weekend. Okay. Now, over here in this area, right in here are, well, what are you guys? Let me look at my notes here. Those could be pumpkin. They don't look like pumpkin to me, but hey, they might be pumpkin. Or actually, I think these are the pinto beans, guys, that I didn't think would sprout. And possibly the pumpkin didn't sprout. And these may be the beans. My stakes also got moved thanks to Mr. Bosco. He, well, I call them stakes, but sticks. He found sticks in the ground, and before that he found the paper packages that were stuck in the ground, and he thought they were toys. So he pulled them out, and I tried to put them back where I thought they went. And I might have been wrong because I think all of these are the pinto beans, and I believe I just planted a couple of pumpkin seeds down there on the end, and nothing of that has sprouted. I would like to share this with you. The kiss of the sun for pardon, the song of the birds for mirth, one is nearer God's heart in a garden than anywhere else on earth. And this garden plaque belonged to my grandmother, who is no longer with us, and she always had it in front of her house, in her flower beds. And I found it in the weeds at her house after she passed, pulled it out, and every time I plant a garden, I put it in the garden. And it's just kind of my way of having her. And my grandpa, both of my grandparents would garden a lot, and they're the ones who really got me interested. And so it's my way of having them, or her specifically, with me. Kind of some good garden luck, right? Moving along, somewhere in here, there are supposed to be some okra, which don't seem to be doing a whole lot of anything right now. And then over here, let us see, what have we got here? Okay, these are yellow squash. These are the smooth skinned kind of yellow squash. I believe they are an early yellow squash. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, these guys right here, they're looking a little worse for wear as far as their leaves, are probably the okra. Possibly the okra. I will say possibly the okra. I should have taken notes on day one and not just tried to remember and use my previous video where I was wandering and rambling as I am now. Because, well, to be honest, it was a little hard to follow. But we'll see as they get a little bit bigger, I'll be able to identify them. Okay, this row I know, this is my zucchini, which are coming up pretty well. Obviously, a few seeds either got washed out or didn't sprout there because I planted them 4 to 6 inches apart. And if I need to thin certain ones out, like in this area, I will. And then down here we have some more yellow squash, as I noted in my last video. My family, everybody but my boyfriend likes yellow squash, so we have a lot of yellow squash. This is, I believe, also an early summer crookneck, but this is the kind with the bumpy skin. Okay, now down here. So down here looks pretty bare. Both of these rows, actually the last 2 rows on this side, are both corn. I kind of figured that this end might not do a whole lot for me. This was where I planted the older seeds of corn that I had, which had done well for me in the past in my previous gardens, but it's been several years since I planted a garden, and I didn't think too much would come up of that. And then here, what I've done is I've planted 2 rows here, 2 rows there with some space to pick some corn in the middle. And on this end, about halfway down, we have the silver corn. And then as you come down, about halfway here, it transitions to the yellow or the golden corn. So hopefully we get good pollination having the 4 rows together. You can see footprints through here. That is Bosco stomping on my poor little plants. Again, next project is to get a garden fence around the garden. I already know what it is that I want to put around the garden. Probably going to do some vinyl coated chicken wire. We do have a lot of rabbits around here, and so I would like to keep the rabbits out. We are a bit a ways from the houses, so this area out here, the fields, there's all kinds of wonderful animals and creatures, a whole lot of rabbits, and they do come in to this part of the ranch because even though it is technically closer to the houses, it is still far enough away that they are not intimidated and they will come in, particularly because these are nice young yummy plants. So I want to use chicken wire to try to keep the rabbits out. It has worked well in the past. I'm going to do it about 3 feet high because in the fall we also get javelinas, which are not a hog. They are not a feral hog. They are a peccary, which looks like a little hog, but it is not. It is a very different animal indeed. But they root around much like pigs do, and they are typically here to eat the acorns from all of the Texas live oaks that we have, but they will dig around in your gardens. We do occasionally get feral hogs. Not quite sure what 16 gauge chicken wire will do to keep a feral hog out. Probably not a whole lot. But I'm not trying to put up cattle panels or anything that complicated or expensive. So chicken wire it shall be for now. At some point, if we keep doing a garden in this area, I may end up getting some electric fencing to also go around the area and keep out the larger animals. But for now, My biggest concern is smaller creatures that want to eat my tender plants. And also there's some ants. We have cut ants down here in South Texas, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do for the cut ants if I see them start showing up. So, whoops, sorry about that. There we go. But yeah, that is my garden tour for today. I'm doing this right as the sun is setting. It's a Sunday. It was a football Sunday in Texas, so I spent from noon till 3 watching the Cowboys beat the Miami Dolphins. Thank you. Yes, Cowboys are my team. And then from 3:30 on, I watched the Texans game because my boyfriend is a Texans fan. And so I didn't get out here until late, but luckily we got our work done in the garden yesterday before the rain came. And it wasn't very much rain, but it was enough and heavy enough for long enough to kind of beat everything back down after we had pulled weeds and, broken up the soil in between things. And you can't really tell. And you also can't really tell that it just rained because, well, we have been in a drought and the soil is still pretty dry, so we are still, as you can see, watering it. Right now I'm using a hose and a sprinkler. Not sure if I'll switch to drip irrigation at some point, but right now a sprinkler is working just fine. So thank you for tuning in to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can hear the birds singing in the background. And thank you again. See you next time. Bye.